You probably thought that their silence meant guilt, regret, maybe even sadness. Like, maybe, just maybe, they finally got it. That they saw how badly they hurt you and just couldn't face it. But what if I told you that silence wasn't a sign of remorse, it was a strategy? Welcome back. I'm Dylan, and today we're going to break down what's really going on when a narcissist shuts down the moment you call them out. Because I used to think the same thing. I'd confront her after finding out she'd lied again, or even cheated again, and she would just go blank. Eyes glazed over, wouldn't say a word, didn't fight back, didn't even cry, just nothing. And I'd think, damn, maybe she actually feels bad. But now, I know what it really was. It wasn't guilt, it was manipulation. Let's get into it. Number 1, they don't want accountability, they want control. Let's start here. Narcissists don't get into relationships to be held accountable. They get into relationships to feel in control, to be admired, to be catered to. So, the moment you flip the script and call them out for something real, something they can't deny or deflect, they don't want to talk about it. Why? Because talking about it would mean admitting they were wrong. And being wrong would mean losing control. So, instead, they just shut down. Emotionally, verbally, sometimes physically. And you're left standing there thinking, what just happened? Did they even hear me? Oh, they heard you. They're just not going to give you the dignity of a response. Number 2, shutting down is a power play disguised as avoidance. At first glance, their silence might look like they're avoiding conflict. You might even think, okay, maybe they're overwhelmed or shutting down emotionally because it's too much. But that's not it. This isn't a nervous system freeze response. It's a calculated move. Because silence is power. When they shut down and go quiet, they force you to fill in the gaps, to chase the conversation, to spiral, to start explaining and re-explaining what they did wrong over and over, trying to get a reaction. But they're not trying to avoid conflict. They're just silently winning. Number 3, they know you'll escalate, and that's the goal. And here's the wild part. They want you to get emotional. They're counting on it. Because when you get upset, when you start raising your voice, pacing the room, crying, begging for answers, now you look unstable. Now they've got the upper hand. You've gone from, hey, I need to talk to you about this lie, to you're screaming at them while they sit silently on the couch. And to anyone watching from the outside, you're the problem. You're the emotional one. You're overreacting. They just sit there like, I don't even know what's going on. I'm just trying to stay calm. But behind the scenes, they're loving every second of it. Number 4, your normal emotions become reactive abuse. Let's talk about reactive abuse, because this is the mind trip that messes so many of us up. Reactive abuse is when the narcissist pushes you to a breaking point by lying, cheating, gaslighting, stonewalling, until finally you explode. You yell, you cry, you break down, and then they point the finger and say, see, look how toxic you are. Now, they get to act like the victim. It's the ultimate gaslight. They poke you and prod you into reacting, and when you finally do, they flip the script and call you the abuser. So, yeah, maybe you did lose your cool, but that doesn't make you abusive. That makes you human. There's a difference between reacting to abuse and being abusive. So, if you've ever walked away from one of those silent standoffs, wondering, why did I get so worked up and they just didn't seem to care? It's because they didn't. They cared more about how they looked than how you felt. Number 5, silence makes you doubt yourself. Let's be real. There's nothing more confusing than trying to resolve something with someone who won't say a single word. You end up having the argument with yourself, trying to guess what they're thinking, trying to decode their silence like it's some kind of secret message. But here's the thing. There is no secret message. Their silence isn't deep. It's not mysterious. It's not emotionally complex. It's just another way to avoid accountability and keep the spotlight off their behavior. And while you're sitting there spiraling, they're thinking, good, now they're too busy doubting themselves to keep questioning me. Number 6, they shut down so they don't have to lie anymore. Sometimes they go silent not because they're sorry, but because they've run out of lies. And let's be honest, they're exhausted from the performance. You caught them cheating? You've got screenshots? You heard from someone else? They're concerned. So, instead of spinning another story that could blow up in their face, they just stop talking. It's damage control. And it's smart. In a twisted way. Because no words, no proof. Nothing they can be held to later. Nothing you can quote back when they deny it again tomorrow. They've learned that silence is safer than honesty. Number 7, they need you to feel like the crazy one. This is the part that really hits home. They stay calm. They shut down. They don't yell back. And it makes you feel like the unstable one. Even when your anger is totally justified. Even when you're confronting them with real betrayal, real harm, real trauma. But now they're looking at you like, wow, you really need to chill. And you start thinking, maybe I am too emotional. Maybe I'm the problem. You're not. They just needed you to believe that. So you'd stop seeing what they did and start obsessing over how you reacted. They didn't need to win the argument. They just needed you to stop believing you ever had a reason to start it. Number 8, they weaponize their absence. And it's not just verbal silence, it's emotional and physical too. They walk out of the room. They stare at the wall. They pick up their phone and scroll like you're not even there. They give you that glazed over, empty expression like you're speaking another language. That's not indifference. It's punishment. They're punishing you for daring to bring up your pain, for speaking up, for catching them, for trying to make them see what they did. And the worst part, you feel like the one who did something wrong. Their absence becomes a weapon that makes you beg for connection again, just so the silence will end. Number 9, their shutdown is a setup. And right when you start to let your guard down, they come back. Acting like nothing happened, trying to cuddle, asking what's for dinner, or making a joke like they weren't just completely emotionally absent 5 minutes ago. And you're left thinking, wait, was that whole thing just in my head? It's mini gaslighting, and it works because of how jarring it is. You were ready to end the relationship 5 minutes ago. Now, they're asking if you want to go to the store with them. They change the subject, act sweet, and never bring up the issue again. Because if they don't acknowledge it, it doesn't exist. In their world, anyway. Number 10, healing means no longer needing their response. Let's bring it back to you. One of the hardest truths I had to accept after leaving that relationship was this. You're not going to get the apology you deserve. You're not going to get the full conversation. You're not going to get closure from someone who benefits from your confusion. And I know that's heavy, but it's also freeing. Because the moment you stop needing them to explain, you take your power back. The moment you stop begging them to talk, you start learning how to listen to yourself. You start trusting your instincts again. You stop second-guessing your emotions. And you realize the silence doesn't always mean sorrow. Sometimes it means strategy. And now that you know that, you can stop trying to decode their silence and start healing from what it was always meant to do. Shut you down. But not anymore. If this video hit home, you're not alone. I used to beg my ex to just talk to me. I thought maybe if I could just get her to say something, I could finally make sense of everything. But the more I chased answers, the more I lost myself. So, if you're in that place, still trying to decode silence that was never meant to give you peace, I hope this video helps you stop chasing and start choosing you. Drop a comment if this felt familiar, or even just yeah, this was me. I'll be in the comments, and I'd love to hear from you. And, as always, don't forget to like, subscribe, and check the description for healing tools I've put together in the Break Free Kit. Everything that helped me, now organized to help you. You deserve clarity, you deserve peace, and you're not crazy for reacting to the chaos. You're healing from it.